All right. I was watching a video, Decode Your Reality. That guy Logan, um, and he has some good videos, and I enjoy watching the links that he makes in his videos and everything. But he does persistently um, refer to man as being used, right? Um, and it gets, for me, and I don't know if other people watching that channel, that idea of man being used is kind of it's not a very uplifting message, you know. And what I wanted to do is do a quick video on, an idea of maybe how man is being used, but it's a more uplifting idea on how man's being used. Okay, so I mean, I have to agree with him. Everything in reality is coded. The whole reality is a code, right? It's all been designed from the get-go by God, right? And if the all-knowing designs, if whatever you want to call it, source or the creator or the, whatever you want to call it, right? The all-knowing creates this world, then every possible outcome, everything's already known, right? So what has happened then is that you are now a character in a play. You are scripted already, which some people may find that a little like. I mean, it's a difficult idea to get your head wrapped around first of all, and then it's for some people it may be a little upsetting to think that I'm just I don't really have any free will because I have a destiny. So if I have destiny, right, if it's all predetermined, how can I have free will? It's a good question to ponder, for sure. Let's think about why you would still have free will, or why, or did. This is what I'd like to say, is that you did have free will when you generated, yourself. So think of it that way. Think of it as God, consciousness, the creator built, built the body, designed the body, spent time to say, well, I'm going to have this outcome here, right? Spent time to build that system. So spent time to build you and create you in a perfect balanced image. And so consciousness has spent time to do that. And then consciousness has also spent time, while building that body, that is the story essentially that's built there, because that body will determine what the man goes on to do. I don't know if you're following this, but I talked a bit about it in that ego video. This body is it's what builds your individualness, all right? And so if there's a story written there, it's built from the body up, from the matter, and from the little piece of consciousness that's embedded within that. So anyway, I had a fairly reasonable analogy of this, right? Because I watch a lot of boat building channels, right? So imagine you're God, and you've built a world, and the world that you've built is the sea, right? It's just a big ocean that you want to go sail around. You want to go and experience sailing, right? So you need a vessel in order to be in that world, right? So as God, you design and build, a number of different boats that you want to sail. And if you watch these boat building channels, these guys put a lot of effort into, making these boats look beautiful. They're a reflection of themselves, essentially. The same way as we're all a reflection of consciousness or God, So they spend time building this vessel that they are now going to step into and then sail in the world that they've created as well, on the sea. Okay, so think of the vessel as you now, as your body in this world. as your body in the material world. Right? That vessel, that ship, that boat, you know, God is in there, right? But if you're somebody watching from another boat, you don't see, you know, you're not seeing the guy sailing the boat, really. If you're a distance away, you're not seeing the guy sailing the boat. What you're seeing is this boat moving through the water. Right? You don't see the behind the scenes pulling up the sails and turning the wheel or steering on the tiller or whatever. You don't see that. All you see is this big boat going across the water. All right, that's the body. That's what we see when we see each other. We don't see the, you know, God inside turning the cogs, if you like. Anyway, I thought it was a reasonable analogy. But yeah, you know, you've got to, you know, God's taken the time to design this thing the way he wants to design it, because he wants to sail a certain way in the world. You know, he's either building a sailboat, maybe he builds a motorboat, maybe he builds, I don't know, maybe a submarine, you know. He wants to go through the waters in a certain way in the world, right? And, you know, it's going to take a slightly different boat each time to have a slightly different experience. You know, he's in that boat somewhere running it, you know. But, you know, you've designed the boat to be a certain way, you know, to essentially to have a destiny, you know, to either be blown by the wind or use a motor to move around. That boat has a destiny because it's been designed a certain way. I don't know where I was going with that now. But, you know, it was you that designed the boat in the first place. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, oh, I don't have any free will. Well, you've already played that free will out. You've already thought about that free will. You've already decided, you know, what you want to do. You've already made those decisions behind the scenes, and then you just put a tiny little speck of yourself, just a little bit, just enough so you can't remember, you know, your full consciousness, your full being behind the scenes, right? You just put a little speck of yourself in that vessel, just enough for it to be able to have that experience. And so you already played that free will out. You already decided what you wanted to do before you even got in the vessel. Okay? And then you knocked yourself over the head, gave yourself amnesia, and then you went off sailing. You know? I don't know. You know, if you've already designed the story yourself, the free will was already there to begin with. And now you're just living out that free will. You know, anyway, just one way of looking at it. I think it's a more uplifting way of looking at it than, well, you're just being used and you're just a, you know, you're just a computer program running. You know, it's not very, you know, it's not, to me, that's not very, it's just not very, I don't know, it, you know, it doesn't really, it's not the message that I would be sending out. Anyway, let's put it that way. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope there was something in there for somebody. And I'll catch you on the next one, which will be hopefully later on tonight. Alright, cheers, bye.